Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript lessons on Codecademy. So in the last few lessons we have been looking at loops, and today we're going to be looking at loops again. So let's just get straight into it. So time for us to create a while loop from scratch. That sounds fun. We've set up a function loop for you to write your while loop in, as well as created the empty loop. So remember to set up the condition you're checking outside the loop. If you do it in the loop, it will keep resetting and the loop could go on forever, i.e. it could be an infinite loop, so I guess don't do that. Write a while loop that logs I'm looping to the console 3 times. You can do this however you like, but not with 3 console.log calls. Check the hint if you need help. So what is loop? A loop is a function which is just while. So that's going to be called, and we need to actually edit this here. So while I is less than 4, actually I'm going to do it less than or equal to 4, and I will explain what it does once I've finished it, but for now let's just keep typing. So while I is less than or equal to 3, I meant here, not 4. We need to console.log, and we need to console.log this I'm looping with the quotation marks, and then at the end we need to increase I by 1. I think that we need a semicolon there. Oops, I is not defined. Let's start off by defining I then. And we need to do it var I equals 0 because it's JavaScript. There we go. So okay, let's actually explain what this does. And I don't know why it printed out 4 times. Oh, because it's 0. Okay. Okay, let's fix the program and then I will explain what it does. So I wanted to print it out 3 times. Let's save and submit, and there we go. It only prints it out 3 times. So we the program or the compiler sees that this is a function, so it just remembers that there's a function called loop, and then goes to this line and realizes that this function called loop is being called. It doesn't have any argument, so it just enters it straight away. So we have inside the function we define a variable called I, which at first is equal to 0. Then we say while I is less than or equal to 3, so which literally means if I is less than or equal to 3, do this as long as it's not more than 3 or equal to 3. No, as long as it's not more than 3. So we're saying as long as I is not more than 3, do whatever is in here. So well, this is true. Okay, so I'm going to go on now. So as long as that's true, we say print this out and add 1 to I. As you remember, I++ just means I plus equals 1 or I equals I plus 1. Just look at, I think 3 videos ago we discussed that. If you need some help or ask in the comments down below, I will be glad to answer as well. So once once we get to here, I becomes 2, and this has been printed out once. Then I is 2, and it still meets the condition, so this gets printed out for the 2nd time, and we increase I by 1 again, so we're on 3. Now the condition is still met because we're saying less than or equal to, so I at this point is equal to 3, and therefore this is still true. So we get I'm looping for the 3rd time printed out, and 1 added to I. Now I is 4. It goes back to the while and checks, is I less than or equal to 3? No, it's not. It's actually greater than 3, i.e. it's 4 in this case. So it just exits the whole loop and also exits the function. Because we have no return, we just printed things out. That goes to the console and we are done. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, as I said before, feel free to ask in the comments down below. Solo flight. Great work. Let's try another. This time no help at all. Well, I guess we can get some help from the hint. Hint, hint. inside the solo loop function, write a while loop that takes an initial condition that's true. Your loop should log looped once to the console, then change that initial condition to false. Make sure to set your condition to false in the body of your loop, otherwise we might crash our browser by looping forever. So our solo loop, or what our function solo loop does, we haven't defined. Oops, I need to do it down here. So while a condition is true, do something. We want to print something only once and then exit it. So therefore we want a variable which we can call boolean, or I guess we can't call boolean, bool1, why not, bool1 equals, at first it needs to equal true, and then we need to say bool1 here because we want to enter the loop, and then we need to console.log whatever is telling us there, so which is looped once with an exclamation mark. And then to be able to exit the loop, we want to change bool1 to be equal to false or 0, whichever one you prefer, but so that it's more clear for now, I will just use true and false. So let's save and submit and see if it works, and yes, it does. So what we do is we call this function solo loop on line 12, so it goes to the compiler goes to here, and then it sees this variable called bool1 and it makes it equal true. So while true is basically what we're saying here, print out looped once, so it does that. Then it goes to line 8 and it makes bool1 false, so then it goes back to the while and it says while false. Well, the condition is false, so it can't run it. It immediately exits the while loop and therefore the function, so we are done. So let's move on. Mid-lesson breather. Okay, that sounds interesting. Let's see what it's going to tell us. Great work so far. You've learned what while loops are, while loop syntax, how to avoid infinite loops. Next up, we'll cover the do and while loop, when to use while and when to use for, then put it all together in a loop review. So click save and submit code to head on to the last section, which we will be doing in the next video. So let's just think about when for loops are better than while loops and when while loops are better than for loops. So we have I don't know what I'm saying. We have used for loops for arrays or lists or whatever you want to call them, because they're very effective, as in a list you always know its length by doing the length method. But you can also do that with a while loop, but it's a lot longer to write and it might not be as clear. But with a for loop you can't actually know the exact if you're trying to do something random with for loop, then it's quite difficult, as we saw in the last lesson. For example, if you're trying to find out when a condition is met and when the condition is random, then you can't really use a for loop. You should use a while loop instead, because there isn't a definite amount of times that something's going to be true or false. You just don't know if a coin is going to land on its head or its tail, or is going to be facing up or down. Also, we have while loops can be used as for loops, because I think for loops might be linked to while loops. And yeah, you can do more things with while loops, but for loops are just easier syntax basically, and I'm not sure if they're more efficient, but line-wise they are more efficient if you just want line-wise. But yeah, guys, if you want to test something out in this screen, then feel free to do that and tell me what you have tried. If it doesn't work out, even this, just tell me. I will see what's wrong with your program and tell you if I can figure it out myself. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please share and like this video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it, and until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.